Welcome to the Magic on the Inside podcast by the Sisters Enchanted, where we chat magic, hot topics, personal development, and good old-fashioned life. Brew up something delicious and sit with us for a spell.
Welcome to this episode of the Magic on the Inside podcast.
You just stole my line.
Because you stalled.
Because I was...
You didn't commit.
Right. Welcome to this episode of the Magic on the Inside podcast. I'm Sarah, founder of the Sisters Enchanted. And I'm joined today by my lovely co-founder, co-host, co-hort and codes, Anna.
Yay!
And we are talking about the Taurus New Moon.
We are.
And May 11th, is it? Is the Taurus New Moon? Mm-hmm. It's May 11th. Had to double check my details. My details. My details. Taurus New Moon.
Yeah.
Okay, firstly, what's going on here at the Sisters Enchanted lately?
What's going on
What
here?
do we have happening? It's our birthday month!
It is our birthday month! Woo!
Yeah, actually, when this comes out, it's our birthday week, actually. It's our literal birthday week. We were born in that Beltane Taurus energy. Created the Sisters Enchanted.
It's very exciting.
We're going to be 5.
So big.
I think it's time we can start working on taking our training wheels off.
We're so big. So big years old.
Yeah, well, actually, my kid is 6. She's almost 7. She just learned to ride a bike without training wheels and is learning to swim on her own right now. Like, she's getting there. Well, she can swim, actually.
I know. I saw the videos.
So, we're not 6 yet. So, maybe we should leave our training wheels on and our swimmies. I don't think we're there yet.
Maybe we could take our training wheels off, but we need to have those wrist pads and some elbow pads and some knee pads and a helmet.
You know what's so interesting about this?
And maybe we need to learn on some grass.
Well, because we have our Society of Business Witchery program.
Yes.
And I've worked with a lot of people over the last 5 years on building their side hustle, little business, whatever you want to call it. And there's this idea that, you should just have an idea and then do some things and it works. But if you think about humans, here I am comparing this to my 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Who's just now taking those training wheels off. And I'm like, wait a second. We're only 5 years old. Why am I even all about not having training wheels? I think it's okay that they're on. It's so interesting how we expect so much of ourselves as adults.
Right.
Yet it takes so long to learn things.
Yeah. I was just thinking, too, this is not relevant at all. But maybe because Taurus New Moon, and it might be a good time to check in with yourself, and especially yourself and self-care, because we're talking about Taurus energy, which is Venus energy, which is very earthly and abundant and fertile, and who doesn't love some Venus Aphrodite action? I was going to say, because you were talking about Scarlet being 6, and I was like, that's funny, because Riker's 6 months old. And
Scarlett's going to be 7.
Yes. And that...
you don't know how old your niece is.
I do. I just was saying...
It's fine. Continue.
Played differently in my brain.
I'm just teasing you.
Anyways, that Riker is 6 months old, and that I keep giving myself a hard time about, how is my day going to get easier? When is... he's 6 months old. I should be able to do a load of dishes in the sink.
Nope.
No. The answer is no. Or you have that, now people talk about that 4th trimester, but I think it's a 4th, 5th, and 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. But just that you need to, I'm giving myself a hard time because he's 6 months old. He's so big now. And it's well, he's not really that big.
I just saw him earlier and he was drooling on himself. He's not that big at all.
His teeth hurt.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Why would we think a 6-month-old who's drooling on himself should do anything but cry for attention?
Right.
And why do I think that our business at 5 years old, we need training wheels? I would never be like, oh, my 5-year-old, you must not have training wheels.
Unless they... Okay. You just made me laugh because there was this time over the summer where you were like, I'm going to buy Scarlett a kayak. And I was like, Scarlett, does not need to be in a kayak by herself. And you're like, no, she's fine. She could kayak by herself.
She could. That's different.
It is.
It just floats in the water. You know what? Maybe the way that I view skill progression is different than the way you view skill progression.
Perhaps.
So, we're 5. We have training wheels on.
And no kayaks. Inflatable kayaks?
No. We could have kayaks. I have them in my Amazon cart. Are we talking about... Okay, is this a metaphorical kayak or real kayaks? Because I have a real canoe.
Yes.
And I have real inflatable kayaks in my Amazon cart right now.
Perhaps I was intuiting that you were trying to buy some inflatable kayaks. So I didn't know
if this was like a metaphor we were carrying on or if I was actually buying kayaks because I do have them with intent to purchase.
So now you can use this podcast as an excuse and say, well, during the podcast, we talked about buying kayaks, and so I bought the kayaks.
It is Taurus season. Buy the things that you think
will make you happy.
All right, so
good talk.
Let's back this up. New moon. What do we do under a new moon, Anna?
We start evaluating what kind of intention we want to bring into the world.
We set our intentions.
Yes.
So intentions, short and snappy. Feelings based.
Yeah.
Attainable.
Clear.
Focused. Mm-hmm. One thing. Focus on one thing. What's an example of not an intention? Like if my intention is to declutter my entire house. That's not
an intention.
That's not an intention.
Your intention could be to put aside 1 hour every weekend. Or not even, because that's even further. But even if you took the intention to take 10 minutes every other day to clean up and declutter one corner of certain rooms of the house, that's more of a precise intention.
Yeah, or that could be a solar goal, and your lunar intention could be to feel accomplished in decluttering.
Yes.
And then my solar goal
could be to do the decluttering.
And 10 minutes of the days that you mentioned. And then the things that you said.
Yes.
Yeah. So, or that could be your intention. So this is the thing. There's not a one way you must do this. If for you, you're like, my intention is to walk for 10 minutes every day this lunar cycle. Have at it.
Yeah.
Go on with your bad self. But make it short. Make it one thing. I do like to have it be like feelings based, more of a way of being. Right. How will you be at the end of the lunar cycle? How do you want to be? Because I think that does leave open the invitation for us to experience things in a way maybe we didn't set out to experience them.
Right. Well, I know that especially in our holistic witchery community, when we're talking about the moon phases, that a lot of folks in that community get frustrated because they're like, my intention didn't work. Like, what did I do wrong? And it's like, well, you didn't do anything wrong, but if you made the intention that you're going to walk for 10 minutes every day of the lunar cycle and you haven't gone for a walk to your mailbox in a year, the likeliness that you're going to do that is minimal.
Yeah.
And to blame the moon cycle on that doesn't make much sense. But that's where people go, though. They're like, I set the intention that I'm going to do this, and then it didn't happen. It's like, okay, well, the moon did not make you do that.
So what do you need to do first? You need to set maybe the intention to understand your energy levels.
Right.
With the intention of scheduling in time for exercise.
Mm-hmm.
But first you need to know, like, why am I not exercising? Or to understand the reasons why you're not exercising. Like, what is the reason for that?
Right.
So that could be an intention. Now this lunar cycle, so it's a Taurus new moon.
It does not want to get up and walk 10 minutes.
They want to buy the kayak and then like look at it and have the like quick hit of dopamine from buying the kayak.
It wants to take a nap in the kayak.
Be like, oh, who's going to set this up?
It wants to put the inflatable kayaks in the living room inflated and then watch a movie from them.
Okay. So this lunar cycle, we've got our Taurus new moon.
Yes.
So Taurus is aligned with Venus, the second house of possessions, beautiful things. It's an earth sign, so like physical goods, matters of this earthly plane. So we want to think about that in terms of our intentions. We always say to look at your own birth chart and see what's in Taurus for you.
Mm-hmm.
This lunar cycle, though, is very special. And we will have an episode just on this in a couple weeks. But the Sagittarius full moon of this lunar cycle is a total lunar eclipse.
Total eclipse of the heart.
That's just what I was thinking I would sing, except no. So,
turn around.
Every now and then
I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming round. Is that right? Turn around.
I don't know. I don't know any of the words, nor can I sing.
Now and then I get a little bit tired of listening to the sound of my tears.
I know this part. Every now and then I fall apart.
I don't know if that was it. And I need you now tonight.
Cut it out. It's a Taurus New Moon. I don't know what's happening. I can't sing. Anna holds the talent in this family. I
just displayed that talent beautifully.
You asked me to draw something, and if you've ever seen one of my live webinars, you know my drawing skills. They're really aces. And then my singing skills are right up there.
I could maybe sing if I want to.
Yeah.
If I want to.
Like, period. Even if I want to.
On a good day. If I want to on a good day. When I'm properly nourished.
Listen. Proper nourishment. That's what we need right now.
Taurus New Moon.
Yes.
Nourishment.
And the Sagittarius full moon. So when you look at the lunar cycle, you want to think about the cycle because it's a cycle, right? It's not just like pieces by themselves. So the Taurus New Moon is about earthly matters. What's happening right here? Possessions, money, beautiful things, throw pillows. Like, what are you surrounding yourself with? But then our full moon, which is a eclipse, which is like heightened full moon freaking energy, is in Sagittarius, which is, I'm already feeling it.
Right.
I'm going to burn some stuff down. I don't know
it's like busting on the door like the Kool-Aid man.
I, last night on a whim, deleted 20,000 emails.
It was probably in your best interest, because were you actually going to read those 20,000 emails?
No, I was slowly deleting them, and I was like going through them, you know, and then I was like, this is dumb. And then I just deleted them all. I was like, F those emails.
You did send me that exact quote, F those emails.
I did. Needed to be said.
Oh my goodness. This reminded me, because a community member, there was an email, and I saw it. I'm not always in the emails, but I saw it, and they wanted to
Did
post...
it say F this email?
No, well, kind of. They wanted to... no, they didn't say that.
Like,
they didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. It said they wanted to share something in one of our groups, but it had swears in it, and they wanted to make sure that it was okay for our communities, because they were like, in the podcast, Anna spells S-H-I-T sometimes, but doesn't actually say the words, so I wanted to make sure, like, you wouldn't be offended if we posted a swear word, like, meme in your group, and I laughed so hard, because I was like, well, the only reason why we spell them is because if we don't, we have to mark the podcast episode as explicit, so, which is why I don't typically... I mean, I guess I do sometimes censor myself, but like not always. Yeah. Oh, no. But it was just funny because they thought that
if we weren't recording this, I would drop way more F-bombs in this conversation than I do.
It was funny. I was like, I read the email, I was like, oh, I wonder if I come across with somebody who like is just...
I mean, you are so kind and like, you just look so pleasant.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, like I would look at you and be like, oh, Anna. Like, let's be friends.
Let's be friends.
Yeah.
And snuggle in the kayak with the pillows and the blankets.
Yeah. But you also look so fresh all the time. Like, you looked so fresh the other day on a live stream. And I was like, look at Anna.
Looking fresh.
So I guess it's different than, oh, Anna. It was like, look at Anna. She's so fly. Okay.
Depends on the day.
I digress.
When I'm well-nourished.
Sagittarius. So, that Sagittarius full moon, that is like... taken off with your manifestations, your emotional body is just going to be like whatever. So like all the stuff you buy during the Taurus New Moon,
burn it.
Your Sagittarius almo's going to be like, why is this here?
Clutter, stupid clutter.
Yeah.
Who brought this into my house?
Who brought these kayaks here? Who did this?
Who did this?
You influenced me to buy these kayaks and then just like give them away on the street corner.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm all of a sudden feeling a lot of emotional stress about this lunar cycle because I pointed out before that Taurus is on my 7th house cusp, which is your house of contractual relationships, which could be like partners and spouses, but could also be your employment situation if you are in partnership with anybody. And
your big sister.
There is a
partnership
contractual partnership here in a way. And my earthly self needing that Taurus energy there. And if you're going to come in there and just kick the walls down to my 7th house so it like bleeds over into the other houses, I'm going to be really upset with you.
Yeah, well, because I have a Sagittarius stellium.
Yeah, and your Sagittarius is out of control on the best of days.
I know, and now there's a full moon lunar eclipse there. It's so exciting.
She's totally going to buy the kayaks.
I don't even know what's going to happen in the next month.
I'm going to find you.
It could be
in your backyard with a paddle, sitting in your kayak with a Guinness.
I mean, like, literally anything could happen in the next month.
Oh, that could totally happen.
And it wouldn't be surprising at all. So what's happening? No. So from the 11th to so the full moon's the 26th, and then that goes for like another 2 weeks. So what's 26 plus 7? That's like I don't know. I can't do that math. Okay. So in there, I have a camping trip. I've got two camping trips in that lunar cycle. A visit from our dad and stepmom, which is going to happen right at the end of it. We have, and I have, I'm going to Christina Booz's house. She's on our team TSC. I'm going to her house for an event.
So you're not going to be here in case I need you.
We have our tarot party the 23rd. Yeah. If you're in Tarot Throwdown, you need to register if you're not in there. I don't know why everybody is not in that class. It was so good. And we're celebrating our birthday with a one-day event on the 23rd with like live speakers, presenters, educational things. It's going to be so good. And giveaways this month too for those students. So get your patooties in there, tarotthrowdown.com. There is so much happening this month. Like,
there is a lot happening this month.
There's a lot of opportunity for me to just be like wild. So this new moon though, so I know where the full moon is going to be, and we're going to have a whole episode just on that. But this new moon for me is in my 11th house with my North node in it and my Lilith moon. Dun, dun, dun. This is really like, this is going to be some lunar cycle for me.
I just know that people so much miss it when I'm not on the podcast. It's just not the same.
It's not. I miss it. I just sit here by myself recording and I'm just like, hi, I'm Sarah, blah, blah, blah. But when you're here, there's so much goodness happening.
Activities.
Yeah, activities. Okay, so analyze me.
I'm analyzing that this is a good podcast because you have some mascara criteria marks, which means that you've done a good job. I see it
in the video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it.
That's how you know Sarah's had a fun day of laughter. What do you want me to analyze?
My North node in my 11th house with Taurus and my Lilith moon.
I think that you will likely need a lot of support from your friends, but after you get all that support from them, you're going to burn it down, and you're going to blame them all for you buying kayaks.
That's what I was thinking. Or
be like, I had to get away from my family, so I went on this 2-week camping trip, and it's all your fault that I had to get away, and I needed some space, and it's all your fault that my waterproof mascara is no longer waterproof, and I bought the kayaks, and this is my kayak.
I was thinking that it was really going to start out the lunar cycle with, like, me trying to bring people together, and then at that full moon, me having like a crazy moment where I'm just like, I'm so sick of all these people that I've brought together, and then I'm just gonna bust out.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I'm thinking. It's good to know that's gonna happen in advance.
Would be in your nature to have like an event and then be like, peace out, yo, I'm leaving. That's totally something you would do. Have everybody together and then leave. Like Sarah would be the type to host a party, and I'd be like, this is going swimmingly as she like backs out. I would totally because it's bedtime. Okay, no, because you just reminded me of every Sisters Enchanted retreat we've ever had. And Sarah's like, oh no, I have to go now. And I'm up till like 3 in the morning, like hanging out.
I know.
Conversing. I'm up at 5 in the morning making coffee and eggs.
Right when it starts to get good, I'm just like, oops, time for me to leave.
Oh, I have children. I must leave. I must get to the car. It's bath time.
I am so crazy like that. Kevin hated it. So back in the day when we used to actually hang out with people and we'd go to barbecues, people would like just start showing up and like be playing cornhole, and I'd be like, we have to leave now. He'd be like, why? We just got here. And I'm like, I don't know. We just have to go.
Well, it's funny because you were out at a restaurant last night having a cocktail, and you were like, hey, you should come. I was like, no. By the time I get myself in the car and drive there, you'll know I'm on the way, and I'll get there, and you'll be signing the check. I'm getting up and leaving, and I'll be there with my baby by myself, which I didn't go anyway, because I don't want to go into a restaurant right now with a baby anyway, but I was like, I would go, and you and Kevin would be leaving.
The Sagittarius is strong to a fault in me.
Yes.
To a fault, for sure.
Yes.
When it comes to social situations.
I'm a little afraid of you. I'm a little afraid of our contractual relationship. And...
That's fair.
It is fair.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So, where are we at here? New Moon, Taurus. Intentions around your possessions, your earthly matters.
I'm having so many thoughts.
How you're comforting yourself. Maybe not being too gluttonous. Let's think about that.
It's always a good thing to keep in mind with Taurus, because we make a lot of jokes about how you want to be surrounded by comfortable things. That includes yummy food and things like if you really want like pizza, cupcakes, and wine, to go get those things. Or, tacos by cake and margaritas. Like, have those things. But with the Taurus energy, too, you have to be mindful that you're not like, in my... self-care, I'm gonna do it every day.
Oh, Mercury goes retrograde the end of May too, so that happens during this lunar cycle, right after the Sagittarius fiasco. So let's think about all that. When you're setting intentions for a lunar cycle, let's bring this back to something helpful.
Yeah.
You want to think about the whole picture for the lunar cycle. This is the picture.
Yeah. I'm feeling like maybe your intention, even though it's rooted in Taurus for the new moon, and that kind of structure, that material, that coziness, I would probably try to keep an open mind to the fact that your intention should probably not be something that's like very rigid, because sometimes Taurus energy can be stubborn and not as movable and like getting so comfortable that they don't want to move. I don't think that you should put yourself in a position where you're not able to move or pivot quickly, because I think it's gonna happen. You're gonna be like, you're just cozied in, and that Sagittarius energy is gonna come through and be like, psych.
Yeah.
So I would leave yourself some room to groove.
Well, and that's one of the stories about the bull, which is the symbol of Taurus, right? The bull. Yes. One of the stories, there's more than one story, but one of them is that Zeus turns into this bull because there's a woman he has his eye on from like another land or something. So he turns into this beautiful bull to like trick her, because she sees it in the water. It like swims up in the water, which is why the Taurus constellation is just like the top half of the bull, because it's the other half's underwater. And then she gets on its back. She's like, look at this beautiful animal. But then he rides off with her and like,
as Zeus does.
Yeah, forces her to bear his children and all these things, all these terrible things. I think it's a call with Taurus, though, is to like, watch out how much you want something.
Right.
Like, why do you want it? Is it really in your best interest to want it? Because that Taurus energy is like, oh, I want the $1,000 random purse that I definitely don't need.
Right.
And like, why do I want it? And what is, am I being my best self by buying that? Or
right.
Can I do something else with my Taurus energy? Like, just have a book and some hot chocolate.
That's why I love mythology and astrology, and I know that they don't go hand in hand, but they do.
I know. And then you got the archer who comes along 2 weeks later, and it's just like, F this. F this blanket on the sofa with your hot chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm out for an adventure.
I'm outie.
Burn it down. Why'd I buy all that stuff?
That stuff holds me down, unless it's a kayak, in which case it can set you free.
Freedom. See, that's the thing though about the cycles and lunar cycles is that it's all like we go through the whole zodiac in a lunar cycle,
right.
and you have your own personal birth chart.
Right.
So like this is happening in different ways
To everybody.
To everybody every lunar cycle, and so we're experiencing. It's like this lunar cycle. I start with the moon and the intentions in my 11th house with my North Node, which is like what I'm learning and doing in this lifetime, right? What I'm working to. I also have my Lilith moon in there, which is like a whole other thing. But that's where I start. By the middle of this lunar cycle, the full moon is on my Sagittarius stellium, which is just like wild and free. So when we look at the progression of a lunar cycle, what you might be experiencing
right.
is going to be
Well, we've said this on a podcast in the past, that the lunar cycle is happening. So the moon is changing, but the moon is also going through your chart. So you're not just having like the phases of the moon changing. You're changing, the sign is changing. It's going from, Taurus to the next sign, to the next sign, to the next sign, until it gets back to Sagittarius. So not only are you setting the intention with the moon and what each moon phase is saying to do, but it's also going through a different sign each time. And for each and every person, that's an individual cycle that's happening astrologically as well. So you're not just having the lunar cycle, but you're also learning a lesson in your astrology, in your chart, in your own world. You're having an authentic cycle change for you that only applies to you. And you're supposed to learn through that cycle as they happen as well. And if not, some of the baggage or things you didn't let go or things you didn't learn through the astrological cycle during the moon cycle, it'll apply to the next one. So we're supposed to be doing the work all the time and recognizing what's happening.
Yeah.
And going with the flow and then trying to learn along the way.
So good.
I have to do this these days to get my words out because my words are so gone that I've got to like find them and like pick them out of the air.
Now, two of us cannot formulate a sentence worth anything.
We can sing a song
these days. Well, no, you can.
We sang a song. We did it.
We should host a contest or something where if we get a certain amount of things to happen, I sing Purple Rain for everybody.
Oh, it's so good.
I mean, it's like so good because it's so terrible. That's what she means.
It.
It's so terrible. It's so good.
It's like Sarah's husband's favorite thing that she does.
Yeah. He'll play it just to get me to sing it.
It's perfect.
I don't even particularly like the song. It's just like become this thing.
I know. It's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, friends, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Make sure to head over to our blog post because you're going to find a tarot spread, a Taurus New Moon tarot spread. There's this is also written up with notes, so you can check that out. If you're not in Tarot Throwdown, y'all are missing out. I promise you that. It's such a great program. We're really proud of it, and over 4,600 people have taken it, so we know it's good. You can find that at tarotthrowdown.com. So check out tarotthrowdown.com to learn about that. Join us for our birthday month as we go through that program. And head to thesistersenchanted.com/blog for the New Moon and Taurus spread. Or you can find it also on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, all those great places. So thank you, Anna, for chatting with me.
Thanks, Sarah.
And until next time, we hope that you have an enchanted rest of your day ahead.
Woo!
Bye.